In the Homeschool Mama support group, my intention is to support you to shed what's not working so you can show up on purpose in your homeschool and mom life. That's my goal. And today I'm going to get to chat about a discussion point specific to how you're homeschooling. I think that this is often the time of year that this comes up because the skies are grayer, the weather's just not quite as amenable to being outside, although you go girl, if you can do it, definitely do it. I'm in the part of the world where it definitely wasn't in the last number of days. But I'm here to help you homeschool in a way that feels authentic, where you feel confident to do it and you're purposeful in it. And the purpose is also helping to grow your child's sense of purpose too. So if we haven't met, I'm Teresa. I'm the certified life coach and homeschool mentor found here in the Homeschool Mama support group on Facebook. You can find me on my website, capturingthecharmedlife.com. You can find me on Mondays recording a podcast video or podcast episode in Studio C, which you can find on Apple and Spotify. And you can also find me in the Patreon Homeschool Mama support group every morning as I'm chit-chatting with moms there, and also in the Homeschool Mom Room on Fridays. A lot of possibilities in order to support you, to help you feel like you can do this homeschool mom journey with other people and also feel supported in your unique and very distinct challenges that you have in your actual homeschool home. So it's nice to meet you. I have been asked 3 questions in the Homeschool Mama support group this week that all are very similar flavors, and I want to share them with you before I get started. So Kimberly shared last week, she said, my goal is really to get more relaxed in our homeschooling. I'm like an old schoolmaster. We must finish the task or else. I want to be free, more free in my homeschooling and enjoy the journey. Amen. And then Desiree mentioned that she's a mom of 5. She started homeschooling when her oldest came home 2 years ago. She would like guidance that she's doing things right. She struggles with expectations of where her children should be on the journey as she has been part of the public school system. And then Michelle asked me last week in the support group to offer thoughts and resources on unschooling. So here's what I'm going to do. Not coincidentally, I have a Deschool Your Homeschool challenge that is intended to help you get out of those schooled mindsets that we all have, schooled mindsets that are interfering with more freedom and satisfaction in our homeschools, and also, makes it simpler. We just complicate things when we tell ourselves that we have to do it in a certain way, and it has to be done by a certain time, and a child has to know certain things at certain times. Not that those things don't have relevance at times, but they almost become our reason for being as homeschool parents, which not coincidentally is very similar to what they do in schools. And yet we take them out, our children, out of the school system sometimes and bring them home so that we can do the same kind of frenetic, possibly overly productive energy that sometimes happens within the school system, or at least we attempt to. And so I encourage you to deschool your homeschool mindset. This isn't something that I had even considered in the beginning of my homeschool years, because I most definitely brought my kids home to be privately homeschooled, to be privately schooled in my home. And though I was intending toward more freedom in my homeschool, what I really got was exactly what Kimberly said. I was much more in the spirit of an old schoolmaster that really quite enjoyed learning all the things that I was learning, but doing things in a way that weren't serving each of my kids, that really wasn't freedom-based. And it didn't feel like it was serving a bigger, greater purpose, bringing my kids into the intentions of, or bringing my children in to the reasons we were doing what we were doing. I was doing it because I thought it was the right thing to do. Just as Desiree said, it was the right thing to do, but based on what? Because everybody else was doing it? The question to ask is, why are we doing what we're doing in our homeschool? What's the purpose? Okay, So I want to go into the discussion of deschooling and unschooling. I've probably heard those words used interchangeably, so I just want to clarify that they're not the same. I don't think they're the same. Unschooling is a method of homeschooling, which is really more of a method of learning, actually, to say that let's just all hands off, let our kids just do what they naturally do. No interference. Of course, there's different definitions of that. I just gave a very quick overview of how I've experienced it. Other people might come up with different definitions for that. But unschooling is a method of educating your children, a hands-off method that allows them to do it from a natural space. Whoever they are, allow them to fully do their thing in their way. Whereas deschooling is coming away from schooled mindsets that interfere with how you're homeschooling. So though obviously one can easily feed into the other, they aren't exactly the same. I loved my unschooling time, and very debatable whether I was fully unschooled or not. Based on the radical unschoolers, they would say, no, you are not, because you had math workbooks. Or some might say, absolutely you are, because you didn't have rod and staff math textbooks. I don't know. There's different reasons why different people would suggest that you would be an unschooler or not an unschooler, and why you might qualify as an unschooler if you don't do certain things or you do certain things, and you might not qualify as an unschooler for various reasons. But you know what I think about that? It doesn't matter, because we're not trying to maintain any method. We're not intending to grow up or raise up a specific educational philosophy or a homeschool method. None of those things matter. It is about the child in front of you. Is it working for that child? And is it something that feels consistent or aligned with what you understand to be an education? And so it can matter if it aligns with those things. So in my experience and in the way that I engage people in the homeschool realm, it doesn't matter to me where people are coming from or whether they decide that certain methods are really valuable. That's great. If they think it's valuable and it's something they want to aspire to, then bring it. Let's engage that conversation. But ultimately, I'll always ask these questions. Is it working for you? Is it working for your child? And how's the happiness thing going over there in your homeschool? Those are the questions I would begin in a discussion about how you homeschool. I wouldn't be asking you if you did all the things on the Charlotte Mason checklist, although I totally love Charlotte Mason, by the way. I wouldn't be encouraging you to actually choose any of the methodologies. They're interesting. They certainly inform how we engage our kids. They're absolutely worth reading and learning about. That's why I have the Homeschool Mama Book Club. Part of the reason is for personal growth discussions, and part of it is to learn more about the homeschooling methodologies and learning about learning and all that. It's valuable to learn about all these methodologies. It's even fun to put them into practice. And at the end of the day, they don't matter. Your child matters, and how you engage your child matters. And watching and observing who your child is and who they naturally are, the things that they're interested in, their natural penchants, the ways they like to learn, the way they, the things that they're doing in their life right now, encouraging that matters. That you as a mom care about what your child is doing, that they are hearing that you care about their interests, and that who they are and their interests matter more to you than whatever expectations are out there, whether it's in the school system or whether it's in, the neighborhood talk about what is important in school. They hear that you care most about them. That matters. Also, that you give them opportunities to pursue things that are them, and they can become who they are meant to be on this planet. That matters. And all that to say, I think the Deschool concept is a really useful approach to getting clearer what you want to be doing in your homeschool. You're actually going to simplify your life, not complicate it. Stuff gets easier when you simplify. Stuff gets easier when you learn what is the most important thing here? My child. Who is my child? What do I believe about an education? Is there a way for me to align what I believe about an education and also deeply listen to who my child is and what they need right now? That combination, I think that's a powerful combination to do this very one thing. Teach your kids to live lives on purpose. The very thing that we want for ourselves is something that we can also encourage for our kids in our homeschools. And that's why I think deschooling is so powerful and relevant. And so if you're interested in the Deschool, Your Homeschool Challenge, put Deschool down below and I will make sure to grab that for you. The Deschool, Your Homeschool Challenge, it actually leads you into a discussion about Deschool group coaching, which will come up in February. So if you're curious about that, I'll definitely tell you more about that. Of course, there is always an opportunity to do one-on-one coaching. That's something that I do. I've learned that there's overlaps between all the things that I'm discussing in coaching: deschooling, self-compassion, or dealing with your big emotions, addressing overwhelm, building boundaries in your life, becoming more you, all the things that I talk about in or in life coaching. All the things that I speak about in group coaching programs, they're all interwoven. They're all affecting each other. Because when we deschool, we're more likely to be living lives that are purposeful. We all have more time to think about, how am I feeling? What are my thoughts? How am I engaging my kids? Is it reactive or is it responsive? Am I feeling guilty repeatedly for the ways that I'm showing up with my kids? Do I have satisfying relationships? Am I honoring myself in doing different, rabbit trails of curiosities for myself, as well as allowing that for my kids? I see all of these different elements of the group coaching programs I offer. They're all like one and the same. We're just talking a varied, just a little bit of a shift in a discussion, but it's all about the same thing. And so if you're curious about life coaching, definitely connect with me and we can have a conversation. It's a free coaching conversation, and then discuss what possibilities there are. And of course, before I let you go, so there is a discussion on deschooling. I'll actually begin to have conversations more frequently on deschooling. If you're curious about it, just ask me questions. If you have a specific scenario you have in mind, please put it down below and I will address it on Tuesday afternoons. And also, this week's episode on the podcast is about how to develop boundaries in your homeschool mom life. I hope that one's helpful to you. I would love to hear your thoughts or your feedback. If you could give me the thoughts or feedback via a podcast review, that would help me put myself out in front of other people. It sends a message to the algorithm that people are listening, and I also will mention you on the podcast. So I'd appreciate that very much. And until next Tuesday, I hope that you and your kids can have a charmed week. You got this, girlfriend. I'll see you then.